Ronin Mode Unmasked Chapter 10. Growing up in the 80s. I'm an 80s child, shaped by everything that defined that decade. The music, the movies, the cartoons, all of it. TMNT, Ghostbusters, Thundercats, Transformers, He-Man, Voltron, you name it, I watched it. And video games? That was my world. The Atari, the NES, Sega Master System, the Sega Genesis. I didn't just play them, I lived in them. But my story starts in a much darker place. My earliest memories as a child are a nightmare I'm still trying to wake up from. My biological parents were not good people, to put it mildly. It sickens me to admit it, but there was abuse. I don't remember the exact moments clearly, my brain probably blocked them out to survive, but my body kept the score. I still have the physical scars on my skin that remind me of the absolute hell I was born into. Eventually, the state stepped in. It got so bad that I was ripped out of that house and put up for adoption. It's all a fog of confusion and fear. I was only around 4 or 5 years old. Then one day, the fog broke. This super nice man and woman showed up. They bought me a cool toy car. I didn't know them, but for the first time in my short life, I didn't feel like I was in danger. Within a few days, I went home with them. That's the day I actually started breathing. My adoptive parents were my saviors. My mom was a slightly overweight, middle-aged woman with dark hair and dark eyes. She had a temper sometimes, but name me one real woman who doesn't. But beneath that, she was a rock. She was strong, loved to laugh, and just enjoyed life. She filled the house with music, loving the oldies like Elvis and Tom Jones, but also blasting Phil Collins and George Michael. My dad was a tall, handsome, middle-aged man who was super religious and loved hitting the gym. People used to say he looked like John Travolta back then. He was easygoing and pushed me toward sports. He'd take me to the park to play baseball, fly a kite, or just let me be a normal kid. He also took me to the arcade. I remember standing next to him, the neon lights reflecting in his eyes while I played Double Dragon and Ninja Gaiden. I wouldn't trade those moments for anything in the world. He was a big action movie buff, which made sense with his gym rat lifestyle. He took me to see Bloodsport when it hit theaters, Rocky IV, and even took me to the TMNT movie when it dropped. I had a lot of cousins too, but the main one I spent time with was my cousin Pizza. I told you about him in another chapter. We were around the same age and obsessed with all the same things. We'd compete over everything, who got the newest game first, and of course, who was the ultimate gamer. We spent hours grinding through Castlevania 3 on the NES, Shinobi on the Master System, and later on, Sega Genesis classics like Golden Axe and Altered Beast. Looking back, I actually miss the guy. Don't get me wrong, Pizza could be a prick sometimes. He was always exaggerating, making up stories to sound cooler than he was. He'd borrow my video games and conveniently never return them. Later on, when we were teens, he even tried to steal some of my girlfriends. It always backfired on him, though, and the exact opposite would happen. Facts. But I'm sure we've all had a cousin exactly like that. Despite being abused by my biological parents when I was just a toddler, my new parents gave me a real childhood. My dad, he was my hero. He was the man who chose me when my real parents threw me away. I looked up to him like he was God. As I write this, my chest gets tight just thinking about it, because for the first few years, life was a dream. But the dream ended when I was around 10. Things started shifting. The house got tense. My mom and dad started fighting a lot. I've learned as I've gotten older that every real couple argues, it's usually because they care too much. So the arguments didn't panic me at first, and it never got physical. But this was a different kind of poison. When they fought this time, instead of my dad just packing his gym bag to go work out and blow off steam, he would disappear. The house would go dead silent. He wouldn't come back for days. That's when the cold reality set in. And then one day, he just didn't come back at all. I remember sitting in my room, staring at the door, thinking, "Where's Dad?" I'd walk into the kitchen and find my mom just sitting at the table. She was a shell of herself, crying and sobbing uncontrollably, playing One More Try by George Michael on repeat. Watching the strongest woman I knew physically crumble in front of me broke something inside my 10-year-old brain. Deep down, watching her shatter, I knew he wasn't coming back. Later on, from eavesdropping, I found out the brutal, suffocating truth: he had been secretly seeing another woman. And it was serious. But here is the part that carved a hole right through my soul: this new woman had kids of her own, including a boy right around my age. That detail tore me apart. It triggered every abandoned, worthless feeling I had as a toddler. I wasn't just left behind, I was replaced. Did he look at that other kid and see a real son, while I was just some adopted charity project he finally got tired of? Why did he leave? To this day, I never got a straight answer. Maybe it was because my adopted mom couldn't have kids of her own, which was the whole reason they adopted me to begin with. Or maybe it was because my mom's side of the family was kind of crazy, especially my Uncle Jackie, and my dad couldn't handle the friction. It didn't matter. He was gone. Years passed. The calendar pages turned, but the wound never fully closed. I grew up. I became a man. I had my own son, Daniel. I built my own empire. And eventually, after decades of silence, I got in contact with him again. He flew out to see me, to meet his grandson. By then, he had biological children of his own with that other family. I guess I have a stepsister or something out there. I don't even know what to call it. We finally sat down at a local diner. It was surreal. He still looked just like I remembered, dark shades, that Rocky/John Travolta swagger, like he had just stepped out of a time machine from the 80s. Even the waitress was flirting with him. He looked completely untouched by the devastation he had left behind in my childhood. I looked across the table at him, and I finally asked the question that had been suffocating me for over 19 years. What happened between you and Mom? Why did you leave? He went quiet. The swagger dropped for a second. Then he finally spoke. Look, I loved your mom. And I made a lot of mistakes back then. I did try to fix things with your mother after I left, but by then it was too late. Things just weren't the same anymore. I didn't say anything at first. I just sat there, staring at the man who showed me what a father was, only to teach me what betrayal felt like. You know, when you left, Mom was never the same again, I told him, making sure he heard every word. She was never her happy self. You took that from her. And honestly, I think that's why she got sick. I think she died of a broken heart. I let the guilt hang in the air between us before I pushed the knife in deeper. And what about me, Dad? I know I'm not your biological son, but I loved you like you were my real father. I didn't know the difference back then. To me, you and Mom were my real parents. Always were. Always will be. And you just walked away. He slowly took off his sunglasses. His eyes were red. The tears finally spilled over. If I could go back and change things, I would, he said, his voice cracking, looking like a broken old man instead of a movie star. I pray to God that he can forgive me one day, and I pray that you can forgive me too. Paul, you're still my son, no matter what. Later that afternoon, I drove him to the airport so he could fly back home, back to his real family. The silence in the car was deafening. Before he got out, he stopped, put his hand on the door, looked at me, and said, "Paul, I don't expect you to ever forgive me. But I just want you to know, you did good, son. You run your own successful business. You have Sophie, she's a great girl, reminds me a lot of your mother. And you just had a beautiful baby boy. I'm proud of you." I looked right back at him. I didn't smile. I didn't flinch. I let him feel the absolute coldness of the Ronin he had created, and I said, "I know that, Dad, it's because I took after my mother." Then I left him standing at the airport. And I drove off. 1000% facts.